10 Dark Manipulation Techniques to Seduce Any Woman. The fascination with understanding human behavior often draws people toward the study of influence and persuasion, particularly in relationships. Many are intrigued by the idea of psychological hacks that could seemingly guarantee success in connecting with others. When used ethically, these techniques may simply enhance communication or foster mutual understanding. However, there is a more controversial aspect: methods some associate with manipulation, often employed in attempts to seduce or exert control. This darker side of influence raises critical questions about intention and ethics. Is it possible to navigate these techniques responsibly, or do they inherently tread on the rights and autonomy of others? The allure lies in their potential, but also in their capacity for harm. Misused, such approaches risk reducing complex human relationships to calculated moves and power plays. This exploration delves into 10 psychological manipulation tactics often linked to seduction, presented through vivid examples and scenarios. Each technique highlights not just its potential effectiveness, but also the moral dilemmas it poses. This is not an endorsement, but an invitation to consider the ethical boundaries of persuasion. Understanding these methods is not only about uncovering their power, but also about grappling with the responsibility they demand. 1. The art of mirroring. Psychologists have long explored the concept of mirroring, a subtle yet highly effective technique for building connections. It's something most people do without realizing, but when used intentionally, it can leave a lasting impression. Picture this: you're at a cozy coffee shop. The person across from you lifts her latte for a sip, and almost instinctively, you pick up your cappuccino at the same moment. She leans forward slightly, and you adjust your posture to mirror hers. These small, subconscious acts create a sense of harmony and understanding between two people. Alex, a naturally charismatic individual, had mastered the art of mirroring. At a bustling networking event, he found himself speaking with Emma, an accomplished architect known for her sharp intellect and creative designs. Alex, attuned to the nuances of body language, subtly began mirroring Emma's gestures. When she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, Alex adjusted his sleeve. As she spoke animatedly, he matched the energy of her gestures. Even his breathing unconsciously synced with hers. Emma couldn't quite pinpoint what it was about Alex, but she felt drawn to him. His presence seemed familiar and comforting, as though he understood her on a deeper level. Little did she know that Alex's deliberate mirroring was fostering this bond, creating a sense of unspoken connection. However, mirroring has its pitfalls. Overuse or lack of subtlety can backfire, leaving the other person feeling uneasy, even manipulated. As Alex knew well, the key to successful mirroring is balance. Done artfully, it builds bridges. Done poorly, it burns them. At its core, mirroring is a dance of human connection, an intricate blend of psychology, empathy, and timing that, when used with care, can make even strangers feel like kindred spirits. 2. The push-pull technique. Alex didn't just rely on mirroring. He had another strategy up his sleeve, one that was both subtle and powerful: the push-pull technique. It wasn't about mind games or manipulation, but about creating a dynamic interplay of emotions that kept the conversation alive and intriguing. This method involved alternating between showing interest and pulling back, crafting a sense of unpredictability that sparked curiosity and kept the connection fresh. He'd mastered the art of balancing compliments with lighthearted teasing. For instance, during a conversation with Emma, he leaned in slightly and said, "You have such a unique way of looking at things. I really admire that about you." His tone was warm, his words genuine. Emma's smile widened as she felt seen and appreciated. But just as she was basking in the compliment, Alex added with a mischievous grin, "Though, with those sharp insights, I bet you've shattered a few hearts along the way." Emma's cheeks flushed and she laughed, the mix of flattery and playful critique catching her off guard. She wasn't quite sure what to make of it, but that was the beauty of the push-pull technique. It created a dynamic where she found herself engaged, curious, and eager to see what Alex would say next. However, Alex knew the risks. Overuse could backfire, making him seem erratic or even insincere. The key was to use it sparingly and with authentic interest. For Alex, it wasn't about manipulation, it was about adding a spark to meaningful conversations. 3. Emotional anchoring. Every person has certain triggers, emotions tied to memories that are almost impossible to forget. Alex, a skilled and intuitive individual, had mastered the art of emotional anchoring. He understood how powerful it could be to associate his presence with positive, uplifting emotions. It was his way of ensuring that he left a lasting impression on those around him, one that they couldn't easily shake. One evening, Alex and Emma found themselves on a rooftop, surrounded by the soft glow of the setting sun. The sky was a canvas of warm colors, the perfect backdrop for an intimate conversation. Alex leaned against the railing, and as they gazed at the horizon, he casually said, "Isn't this beautiful?" Moments like these always remind me how fleeting life is. It makes you realize how important it is to appreciate the little things. Emma, caught up in the serenity of the moment and the depth of his words, felt an undeniable connection. The timing was perfect. The warmth of the sun, the quiet of the evening, and Alex's calm voice. It wasn't just the sunset that made the experience unforgettable, but the way Alex's words tied into the moment, anchoring the positive emotions she felt to him. From that point on, whenever Emma thought of sunsets or quiet moments of reflection, she couldn't help but think of Alex. The bond between them felt unshakable, built on that shared experience. This ability to anchor emotions is not limited to moments like this. It can be triggered by music, smells, or any shared experience that creates a positive emotional imprint. The more profound the feeling attached to the memory, the stronger the bond. This emotional anchoring can make interactions with someone feel irreplaceable, even if time and distance create space between you. However, it's important to note that this technique, while powerful, should always be used ethically. Anchoring someone to feelings of anxiety, dependence, or insecurity is not only unethical, but also harmful. It can create toxic relationships and leave long-lasting emotional scars. Emotional anchoring should be about building healthy, positive connections, not manipulating or controlling someone's feelings. 4. Mastering the power of silence. For many, silence in conversation is something to be avoided at all costs. It feels awkward and uncomfortable, and often prompts people to fill the quiet with unnecessary chatter. However, Alex knew that silence, when used effectively, could be a powerful tool. He wasn't afraid of pauses. In fact, he welcomed them. Instead of quickly filling every gap in conversation, Alex allowed space for reflection and consideration, understanding that silence could be as captivating as any spoken word. One day, during a meeting, Emma, an enthusiastic colleague, asked Alex, "What do you think about my idea?" She eagerly awaited a response, expecting an immediate answer. Instead, Alex paused. His silence was deliberate and measured, almost as if he was carefully weighing his words. Emma, unsure at first, found herself leaning forward, her curiosity growing. The pause wasn't an indication of indecision. Rather, it was a sign of respect. It communicated that Alex was giving the idea thoughtful consideration and that his response would be worth hearing. When Alex finally spoke, his words were not rushed. He gave Emma a thoughtful and nuanced answer that acknowledged her effort and provided constructive feedback. By allowing that moment of silence, he not only showed confidence in his thoughts, but also drew Emma in, making her more invested in his response. In the end, his careful use of silence made his words far more powerful. Lesson: silence, when paired with confidence, isn't about withholding. It's about creating space for thought, intrigue, and engagement. It's a tool that, when mastered, can make your presence in words more compelling. 5. The scarcity principle. The scarcity principle suggests that people are drawn to what they can't easily have. This principle often amplifies curiosity and desire. In Alex's case, when Emma invited him to an art gallery, he didn't immediately jump at the opportunity. Instead, he hesitated. "I'd love to join you, Emma," he said with a warm smile, "but my schedule is packed this week. Maybe we can try for next time." His polite refusal, though not harsh, sparked something in Emma. She couldn't help but wonder why he didn't make the time. After all, it was just a simple gallery visit. The slight unavailability only made him more intriguing in her eyes. Emma found herself wanting to know more about why Alex's time was so precious and what he was up to that was keeping him so busy. The perceived scarcity of his attention made her even more curious, increasing her desire to spend time with him. But there's a danger in overusing this principle. If someone is too distant or continually unavailable, they might start to seem uninterested or even aloof. It's essential to strike a balance between being a little hard to get and showing enough interest to not come off as cold. Alex's approach worked because it was subtle. He didn't completely shut Emma out, but left just enough of a gap to make her desire his company even stronger. In the end, a touch of scarcity can be a powerful tool when used wisely, but it needs to be handled with care to avoid pushing someone away entirely. 6. Understanding body language. Alex had always been observant, with an innate ability to understand the unspoken language of the human body. Over time, he honed this skill, becoming adept at reading subtle nonverbal cues that most people overlooked. It wasn't just about noticing when someone was smiling or frowning. It was the tiny, almost imperceptible movements that revealed deeper emotions. For example, when Emma, a close friend, leaned in slightly during their conversations, Alex could tell she was genuinely interested in what he was saying. Her body language conveyed more than any words ever could. The way she maintained eye contact showed attentiveness and a desire to connect. But when her arms crossed defensively across her chest, he knew the mood had shifted. Alex was quick to notice this change and would often switch to a lighter topic to ease the tension. He understood that crossed arms often signaled discomfort or disinterest, and he never pushed her to open up when she wasn't ready. Through his interactions with others, Alex learned that body language could reveal a great deal about what someone was feeling, even if they weren't willing or able to say it out loud. A fleeting touch on the arm could indicate affection or empathy, while a lingering glance might convey attraction or curiosity. The tilt of someone's head could suggest confusion, deep thought, or a playful attitude, depending on the context. However, Alex also understood that body language, while insightful, was not infallible. He always made sure to be mindful of others' boundaries and never used his ability to manipulate or pressure anyone. Instead, he respected the unspoken rules of conversation, knowing that reading body language was a tool for connection, not a weapon for control. In the end, Alex's skill at understanding body language helped him navigate relationships with empathy and care. It allowed him to build deeper, more meaningful connections, but he always remembered that true respect came from valuing others' feelings, both spoken and unspoken. 7. Planting subconscious suggestions. Planting subconscious suggestions is a technique where ideas are subtly introduced into a conversation, influencing someone's thoughts or decisions without them even realizing it. For example, Alex once remarked to Emma, "You remind me of someone who's always up for an adventure, someone who loves trying new experiences and stepping out of their comfort zone." At the time, it seemed like a simple compliment, but Alex's words were more powerful than Emma initially realized. His comment planted the idea of adventure deep in her mind, setting the stage for something spontaneous to happen later. A few days later, Alex casually brought up the idea of taking a spontaneous road trip together. The suggestion might have seemed random, but because of the subtle seed Alex had planted earlier, Emma was more open to it. She found herself thinking about the thrill of new experiences and the excitement of exploring uncharted places, and before she knew it, she was agreeing to go on the trip with him. This type of technique works because it taps into the subconscious mind, influencing decisions by aligning them with feelings or ideas that have already been suggested. While it can be a powerful tool for building rapport or encouraging action, it's important to be mindful of how it's used. Overusing this technique or using it in a manipulative way can come across as insincere and lead to unintended consequences. The key is subtlety, planting ideas without forcing them. 8. The power of storytelling. Stories have an innate power to connect us, transcending cultural barriers and creating shared experiences. Alex understood this power better than most. Instead of simply listing his accomplishments or rattling off a resume, he chose to share meaningful stories from his life, each one illustrating a piece of who he truly was. Through his words, he invited others into his world, allowing them to walk alongside him during his most unforgettable moments. One story that particularly captured Emma's heart was about an adventure Alex had during his travels to Italy. He recounted the time he had been wandering through the Tuscan countryside, enjoying the stunning landscapes, when he suddenly found himself lost. The winding roads and charming stone villages were beautiful, but they were also confusing. For hours, Alex had no idea where he was, and with no GPS or map in sight, he thought he'd never find his way back. He laughed as he told Emma how, at first, he felt frustrated, even a bit helpless. But as the sun began to set, something magical happened. He stumbled upon a hidden vineyard, nestled in a secluded valley. The view was breathtaking, with rows of grapevines stretching out before him, bathed in the golden light of dusk. It was a sight he'd never expected to see. The vineyard owner, an elderly man, welcomed him warmly and shared a glass of wine that tasted like the very essence of Italy. In that moment, Alex realized that sometimes getting lost leads to the most extraordinary discoveries. Emma was enchanted by this tale, not just by the vineyard or the scenery, but by the emotion and authenticity that Alex conveyed. It wasn't a polished story or a perfect adventure. It was real, with its mix of uncertainty and wonder. This was a reminder that stories, when told with heart and honesty, are the ones that linger in people's memories. Of course, Alex knew that exaggerating or fabricating details could easily ruin such a connection. He had learned the hard way that when storytelling becomes deceitful, it loses its magic. The key was to stay genuine, because authenticity is the most powerful element of any story. 9. Amplifying her self-worth. Alex was always thoughtful in his approach, especially when it came to Emma. While flattery is something people often use in everyday interactions, Alex wanted to go beyond the surface-level compliments. He noticed the way Emma viewed the world, particularly in her work as a designer. It was evident that her approach was different, innovative, unique, and fresh. Rather than just saying something generic like, "You're great at your job," Alex took a more personal route. One day, while they were working together on a project, Alex turned to Emma and said, "I just wanted to let you know how much I admire your perspective on design. It's so refreshing. You don't just follow trends, you create something that feels original and thoughtful. It's rare to meet someone who can think outside the box like you do." Emma, who had always doubted her own creative instincts at times, felt a sense of warmth wash over her. Alex wasn't just complimenting her abilities, he was acknowledging the very essence of what made her different. It wasn't about flattery, it was about genuine appreciation for her individuality and her unique talents. By focusing on the things that truly set her apart, Alex made Emma feel valued, seen, and understood. This connection went beyond superficial compliments, and Emma found herself growing more comfortable with her own creative abilities. What Alex had done was simple but powerful. He had amplified Emma's self-worth, giving her confidence and reminding her of her strengths. In this way, he strengthened their bond in a manner that was sincere and supportive. However, it was essential that Alex avoided crossing into manipulation. His compliments were grounded in authenticity, which made all the difference. 10. Building mystery. People are naturally drawn to the unknown, and Alex knew this well. He didn't feel the need to share every detail of his life. When Emma asked about his past relationships, he didn't offer a long explanation or a deep dive into his history. Instead, he gave her a smile, his eyes twinkling with a subtle sense of intrigue, and simply said, "That's a story for another day." Emma, who had been curious ever since they started talking, couldn't help but feel a spark of interest. That one little statement, spoken with such calm confidence, only made her want to know more. It left her wondering, who was Alex before she met him? What had he experienced that made him the person he was today? There was a mystery to him that she couldn't easily unravel, and it intrigued her. As time passed, Alex continued to maintain this air of mystery. He shared pieces of himself, but never all at once. It wasn't that he was hiding anything. He just knew that keeping some things to himself made the relationship more exciting. It kept Emma on her toes, always eager to learn more, but never fully satisfied. She liked this about him. It felt like there was always something new to discover. Of course, Alex knew the importance of balance. Mystery can be captivating, but if overdone, it can lead to frustration. He was careful not to create a wall between them, ensuring that his openness and honesty were never in question. He shared his thoughts, his feelings, and his experiences, but left just enough unsaid to keep Emma coming back for more. In the end, it wasn't about playing games. It was about keeping the connection fresh, exciting, and full of possibility. Just a little bit of mystery balanced with genuine openness was all it took to make their bond stronger. Conclusion: a double-edged sword. The techniques explored in this story illustrate the intricate dynamics of human interaction. When used ethically, they have the potential to deepen relationships and foster strong, meaningful connections. However, when employed for selfish or harmful purposes, they can easily cross the line into manipulation, which is never acceptable. Alex's story is a powerful reminder of the delicate balance between charm and sincerity. While his efforts to win Emma's heart through calculated strategies initially appeared successful, they were not built on the foundation of trust and genuine emotion. At first, Emma was drawn to his charismatic demeanor and quick wit, but over time, she started to see through the facade. She recognized that Alex's approach was more about performance than a true expression of himself. Though Emma appreciated his charm, she ultimately realized that she valued authenticity above all else. A relationship built on trust, transparency, and mutual understanding is far more enduring than one based on tactics and manipulation. In the end, Alex learned a valuable lesson. While manipulation may provide temporary success, it is sincerity that fosters lasting bonds. Real connections are not created by tricks or control, but by open, honest communication and a deep respect for one another's true selves. The takeaway: the techniques discussed here can offer insights into human behavior, but they should always be used responsibly. True connection is not about manipulation or dominance. It is about building mutual respect and understanding and fostering authenticity in every interaction. This story delves deeply into the complex themes of manipulation, exploring both the psychological intrigue and the ethical dilemmas it raises. It weaves various techniques of influence into a compelling narrative, engaging the reader while also prompting reflection on the moral implications of such manipulation in human relationships and society.